So another letdown day with the CCU game. We've got the Connie Taurus. I think they mentioned it in an email, which was pretty unnecessary. It's not like you need to look really hard through these to find a single WARBONDS CCU, but okay, whatever. Here we go. There are definitely some bad choices here, so I'm going to kind of go through those first. The FCM Super Hornet Mark I. Anybody that's new to the game probably doesn't realize this, but this ship is not purchasable anymore. They went with the Mark IIs and removed the Mark Is out of the store. They are not purchasable at all, which means the CCUs are never going to be available again. They've made that clear over the past year or so, that that's what was going to happen with the Mark II release, and that's exactly what happened with the Mark II release. Strangely enough, yesterday, they released a video, and they said that they're very specifically, there's nothing wrong with the Super Hornet Mark II. Mark I, there's nothing wrong with it. Technically, we're just making a Mark II.
We can do a Mark II for something that functions, and we just want to sort of deprecate the visual style of it. The Hornets, for example, there's nothing wrong with the Mark I Hornets. We just wanted to have the cooler Mark II Hornets visually out there.
It's like, well, then why'd you remove it from the store? If it's still a viable ship, then why not just, whatever. I don't even know how to deal with this. It's sometimes, if there's nothing wrong with it, put it back in the damn store and let us use the CCUs for it, and put the CCUs back in the store. That's it. Just let us keep using them. So, again, for those of you that are old to the game, you know that you may have some of these available and you can use them in your chains. If you're new to the game, this is never coming back. You're never going to be able to buy it, so don't ever use it. So never use it on the left, the from side, and never use it on the right. Well, because you won't be able to get it on the right. Like, that's the main issue, right? You could buy this right now, and if you already had one, you could apply it, but you won't be able to get to the Super Hornet Mark I with a CCU. You'd have to buy that ship on the gray market, or already have the CCU 2, the Super Hornet Mark I, from previous sales. Again, never coming back. So that's not even on the table. It should not be considered unless you're pretty adept at the game and you already have one. Next best choice is a huge list of $175 ships. Lots of them. But with long lists, there's usually additional caveats. So here we go. Where should I start? Let's start with the other no-go, which is the Hornet Wildfire. Again, this is a Mark I. You can't get to the Mark I Hornets of any type anymore, period. The only thing you could count on is that somebody accidentally adds it back to the store, or they change their tune and start allowing them to come back into the store. Any of the Mark Is off limit, do not even consider them, okay? So instead of going through the list here, what I'm going to do is jump over to the CCU Game app. And in case you don't know what this is, I will leave a link in the description of this video. It's just ccugame.app. That's how you find it. I do have a walkthrough video. You can go look for that, just to kind of walk you through how to use the website. It's not my site. I'm not affiliated, but it's a very valuable tool for the CCU game, so I always promote it. And with that, well, here's the Connie Taurus. It's had a few technically, as of today, made it a few, right? So not super common, but you can use it. It's not a bad one to jump off of for one of your chains. It has had price increases, so a discount to $185 is actually still a $5 discount based on the original. So I suppose that's not as bad as some of the other price increases we've seen. But there you have it. You do need to know that, because all these prices increase over time, and it's just inflation and blah, blah, blah business, blah, 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 right? So first choice, Hornet Mark I already kind of went through this. Doesn't matter if it's had WARBONDS in the past unless you already have them. You just won't get the Mark Is coming up, so you should not be building a chain with any of the Mark Is in it as of today. If you started this year or something, just don't do it. Freelancer Miss is next. I think it's only had one ever. And that was last year. Yep, November. IAE of last year. Very rare. If you have it, definitely use it. If you don't have it, there's probably better choices at the $75 mark than the Freelancer MIS. Cartual is often enough. I think it's had a couple, but it's been a while, right? So again, this was back in 2021. That was in gaming years. That's forever. But I mean, who the hell knows? This thing's been in beta for what, 13? Alpha. Sorry, I apologize. It's been in alpha for 13 years. So maybe it'll come around again. It felt like it came up more often on Alien Week, but then I thought back, and it's technically the Defender that's more likely to come around. I think it's more often. So anywho, at this price range, Cartual makes a viable choice, but not the best choice. Same as the Miss, although they're both almost as rare, right, as far as timing is concerned and quantity. So Cutlass Blue, it's had one recently, December of last year, actually. There you go, pretty recent. But that was the only other one. I know there was a freebie offered back in 2017 or something, so maybe you have one of those rolling around, but otherwise this is just as rare as the Freelancer MIS. Viable, yes. Best choice, no. And if you don't have it, makes it even more sketchy, right? Maybe we'll see it on Drake Day. Who knows? Next up is the Sabre. Sabre had kind of a hot run for a little while when they added the Firebird and Peregrine. Those started popping up, but they're at a different price range, right? So this is the base Sabre. It's had a few in the past. Not super rare. It is viable, but again, still not the best choice. But it's a better one, right? I'd choose a Sabre over the MIS, for instance, right? Retaliator is a weird one. I don't know if they're going to change prices on this one in the future again or what. It's still in this weird space because of the whole module revamp. And I don't know. I hope that they just don't touch it for a while and just leave it as is, but who knows? It has had some recent ones back as early as January and late last year, or mid last year, I guess. And there may have been others previous to 2021. I think I have an older one, but it may be one of those freebies that I'm thinking about. So again, it's not a bad one at the 175 mark, but there's at least one that's better, and that's the Vulture. Right here, the Vulture is probably the best one. Since its release, it's had tons of WARBONDS come out. Some better than others, of course, right? You can see the price down here, 160 or 150 rather, was the biggest discount. I think I have 2 of those. And the rest have been less excellent, right? Less discount. So that building a chain isn't always about the biggest discount per link. It's also about kind of making sure that the entire chain saves money over the long run. And to do that, you need to make sure that the thing's going to come back, or you have enough of them that you can build your chains or chain off of that CCU link, right? So this is a great one because it seems to keep coming back every year since its release. I mean, it was released in 2023, right? And it's had 3 a year since then. That's pretty good. There was also a huge emphasis on that kind of gameplay as well, right? So maybe it's done. I don't know. Trying to predict the future is not for me. It's for people that take your money on 1-900 number psychic lines. And I don't know. But I do look to the past, and I'd say this is probably a better choice than almost anything out there at the 175 mark, besides the small possibility of the Zeus CL. This has been a steady contender since its release, and it's very recent. Again, it's had 3 CCU discounts since it released. Not a bad choice, right? So if you already have one of these because it was very recent that they had one, or if you had one of the Vultures, both of those are excellent choices. A lot of roads lead through this 175 price point, and there's a bunch of ships there to use. The ES too, technically, although I don't think the ES has had as many. Yeah, it's had one less. So CL seems more prevalent. I would go with the CL at this price point, or the Vulture. There are some other options. The Fortune just had one too. It's brand spanking new, and I don't know, I'd leave this one up to you because look, it's brand new and it's had one. That's a good sign, but there's not enough time that's passed to kind of judge how they're going to keep introducing WARBOND CCUs for this particular ship. All right, what did I leave off here? All right, what did I leave off here? I did the Cutlass Blue, Saber, Retaliator, Vulture, CL, Hornet Mark II. Hornet Mark II's had a few, right? There's a standard Hornet. So the standard Hornet Mark II hasn't had any WARBOND CCUs. So that's not a great one to use. There you go. For my money, I would say the Zeus CL or the Vulture. If you don't already have one. If you have one, obviously just use what you got, man. There you go. I don't know. The actual ship itself here, the Connie Taurus, at the $200 mark, you can probably skip it going from 175 to something else, but I don't know. It's not a great jumping point for the Taurus. Yeah, so for the Taurus, you might have the MR as an alternative, the Scorpius Antares. I guess the Taurus is the only $200 mark ship currently. The Vulcan is concept, so we wouldn't include that, and it's not going to get a WARBOND anytime soon. And when it gets a WARBOND, most likely it'll bring it back to this $200 price point. So that's just kind of, how they do it when they release the ships. So I wouldn't count on the Vulcan being a great $200 play. What else do we have as possibilities here? Yeah, I mean, that's really it at the $200 mark. It's going to be a stepping stone regardless. So if you don't have one, it may make sense to pick one up. But I mean, with this lackluster CCU game going on since really last year, I mean, I don't know how we're going to make a lot of these chains work if they don't keep releasing CCUs, right? Like from 2019 to 2023 really was the heyday of the CCU game. There was tons of options. I remember 100i, 300i, etc. Even at the low end, we had stuff, and that's just pretty much gone away. And now they've had a bunch at the mid tier, right? We had everything from the Saber to the CL to the Zeus, all the Zeus ships, right? Anyway, that's it from the store. No real other changes in anywhere else. The starter packs. So, hold on. Technically, they did add a couple things to the standalones. They added the Flight Blade kit and a weapon kit to two of the ships here. The Argo MPUV got the Flight Blades, and the Scorpius got the weapons and the Flight Blade, I think, down here at, what is it, like 240 or something? I forget where the ship is. Yeah, there we go. There they are. So Scorpius plus weapon kit for WARBOND and the Scorpius plus Flight Blades kit for a WARBOND. Basically, as these ships, or as the manufacturers come into the expo hall, they're adding the weapon and or Flight Blade kits to the ships, making it standalone, calling it WARBOND, giving a discount. That's the gist. So that's, I mean, technically that's a change, right? I mean, technically it's a change, so I will let you know. The MTC is still here, obviously, as WARBOND is probably going to stay throughout Invictus, maybe even a little bit longer because it is a new vehicle. It's a good little truck. I like it. It's fun. It's effective. It's really quick egress. Stores what I need. My only gripe is that it just doesn't fit into my daily drivers, right? It definitely doesn't fit into a Cuddy, black, any Cuddy at that point. If it doesn't fit into the black, it won't fit into the rest. It doesn't fit into my Spirit C1. Definitely fits in the C2. I haven't tried my Corsair. I think it might, but I don't know if the height's going to be an issue because someone mentioned that it does not fit into an MSR. I don't have an MSR to test with, so if anybody else has tried it in an MSR and it didn't work out, let me know in the comments. So it just seems like it's going to be limited use. If it can't fit in an MSR or a Connie, for crying out loud, that really reduces its usefulness. But maybe they'll figure out other ways to attach these types of vehicles to ships. What do I know? I think it'd be cool if they made like vehicle carriers where you could think about driving this thing onto like a pallet type apparatus and then you just hook it to the back of an Argo or raft or something, right? That would be cool. or even maybe even like I don't know if an Argo Cargo would have enough lift for it, right? But I mean, theoretically, in low atmosphere, maybe that would work. I think that would be kind of cool, right? Actual transport of vehicles via air mechanism versus having to drive them into the ship. Like something like the MSR wouldn't be likely to have some sort of attachment apparatus below, but something like the Argo would. That would be very, very useful as well. But if it can't fit into the Corsair, for instance, though, and I haven't validated that, so I need to check, but if it can't, then it's lost all usefulness to me. Like there's no reason to get this vehicle if it can't fit into something like the Corsair. Or I'm actually surprised that it doesn't fit into an MSR. Like I kind of anticipated that it's going to be too big for a Cuddy Black, but I thought I might be able to squeeze it into the C1 because the bay is big enough. The internal cargo area is big enough. It's just the doorway that's just too tight. So yeah, somebody mentioned it didn't fit in the Zeus and it didn't fit in the MSR, and that blew my mind. It's too big. The truck's too big. If it can't fit in either one of those vehicles, yeah, that's not a great vehicle. Because people expect the Ursa, it's huge, to not fit into most things. But something like this, it's really slimmed down. I think a lot of people were expecting it would fit everywhere that the Cyclone could fit, and that's just not the case. So anyway, that's my gripe. Again, sorry, I keep griping a lot, but my goodness, the CCU game's kind of a bust this Invictus season, and it hasn't been great really since 2023. There are a couple outliers, of course, right? But man, it's been rough. And they haven't communicated that they're really changing anything, which is a frustration. Usually they're pretty open about, hey, we screwed up, or hey, we're doing this because, even though it's going to make you mad, or hey, we're delaying this thing because of these reasons that may or may not make sense. They have not communicated anything about the CCU game changing, right? They haven't really communicated what they're changing with the referral reward program either, which leads me to believe that because they're so hushed, because they're doing terrible things, in my opinion, with the CCU game, we're probably going to not have much longer to play this CCU game here. So get them while you can, guys. Again, the Taurus isn't a bad CCU. It's just a bummer. It's only one option that we have today, right? It's a $200 price point. There's nothing else there. I think there's like the Vulcan as a concept ship. Yeah. So the only other $200 one is a Vulcan concept ship that you'd have to speculate on, and there's no war bond for it. So you'd have to go from like the Zeus MR to the Vulcan for what, $10? $10, and hope that the Vulcan obviously goes past something like the Antares. Maybe it's a $240, maybe it's a $250 ship, and then you can build your chain from there, right? But right now, the Taurus is the only one in the game at $200. So if you go past $200 and you're not jumping, you didn't jump at the Scorpius for concept pricing or something, then, or you didn't get a really good discount on Andromeda or something way back when, then you have to go through the Connie Taurus to anything above $200. So if you're going to a $200 ship, or like a $250 or more dollar ship rather, you're going to need at least one of these Connie Tauruses for that chain. Well, you would only need one for that chain, but you may need more for other chains, I guess I should have said. So again, it's a good one to have. It's not as good as the discount that we've had in the past, but it's, $5 off the original price is still pretty good considering a $10 price hike. So I would still say get this one if you need it for your chains. Just skip all the BS that I talked about earlier with the Hornets. And realistically, I'm still going to say Vulture is number one choice. Zeus CL is probably number two. And then the rest kind of fall in as I already talked about. So anyway, that's it for me, guys. Good luck out there, and hopefully you all have a great weekend. I will hopefully see you tomorrow, or at least talk to you tomorrow. Seeing you would be weird. I don't have that kind of rabid fan base. That would be strange. Somebody just shows up at my house, freaking me out. Anyway, have a great weekend. Zi-Tek, out.